Good afternoon, everybody. I'm putting together this quick little video to show you how to use all of the new forms that we have built out in SOAR workflow so that you can do the things that you need to do for your students in terms of course substitutions and second degree applications and exception requests that we currently do. So this video is primarily for our advisors, directors, and associate deans who take care of these processes. Some of these processes ultimately come to me, some don't. But nonetheless, all of them are degree progress specialists downstairs assist with and actually make sure that in the system everything is correct and DPRs are pulling right and all of that stuff. So I'm not going to tell you exactly how to get to these forms in the video, simply because I'm in a test database right now, and that will change when we put it into the production database next week. But the email that you received that has the link to this video actually has the navigation for you to get to these forms within your SOAR a portal that you go into. So as you can see over here on the right, we've got UG, which of course is undergraduate, general education, GEC, course substitution form. We've got an undergraduate non-GEC course substitution form. We've got a second baccalaureate degree form, and we've got an exception request form. All of these forms begin with the advisor. So advisors, you all will be responsible for filling these things out and submitting them when you have everything that you need loaded into them. And then directors, those will come to you in your work list in SOAR. And when you're in your work list, you'll be able to open up each individual form that you've received for the day. You'll be able to work it. You'll be able to either support the request or not support the request, approve the request, whatever the case may be for your particular role. You can also add files to each of these. You can add comments where you need to, excuse me, etc. So going to use the same types of processes that we use for other things in our work list now. So I think this is going to give us a lot of benefit at the institution, because right now on paper, sometimes it's very difficult to know where some of these forms are for particular students. Because they're sitting on somebody's desk somewhere and paper doesn't talk to us. So this is going to help us tremendously keep track of where things are, and hopefully allow us to do a little bit of a better job in terms of turning these around for our students. I just want to remind everybody that we have a goal in my office of having no longer than 2 weeks to turn around one of these processes for a student. So if a student initiates at the advisor level with the advisor, it should go all the way through the process no later than 2 weeks after it was initiated. So hopefully this electronic process will assist us in that as well. So I'm going to just briefly show you each of these forms and give you some of the highlights. And then if you have any questions about these processes after watching the video or getting in and starting to do some of these processes, please reach out to your DPS partner and they will help walk you through the process in more detail. So let's look at the undergraduate GEC course substitution form. And what you will see is on the left, you will see this new search. This is where you could enter a student ID number and search for it and find any of the GEC course substitutions that have been put in play for this particular student, which is how we can better keep track of that. But if you need to add a new form, so a student comes to you, they want to, during advisement, they have some GEC courses that they think need to be substituted for whatever reason, say they're transferring them in, for example, then what you do is you would start here at the Add button. You'd simply click Add. You would enter in the student's number. And I'm going to use my daughter for this. You will select the GEC category. So let's say it's for GEC category 01. Student may came in with some credit that needs to be posted from I don't know, maybe they went and took it in the summer at a community college. The required GEC course is the required GEC course that we would have. So this is going to be English, so ENG. Right, and you'll notice that these things pop up. You can just select from it, right? And then the required number, 101. I'm going to click Add, and it's going to pull up the form. And when you get this form, you need to make sure that you verify all of this information up here. This is all pulling in for you automatically. So you'll get the IMPL ID number pulled over. You'll get the name of the student, their campus, their college and school, their academic plan. In this case, mathematics is the only one listed. So you can select, if they're like a double major, you can select multiple academic plans there, I believe. You can see whether or not they've applied for the degree. You can see it's pulled in that information from the first panel that we did. So it's pulling in GEC 01, English 101. So that's the required GEC course. You can mark whether you're requesting to waive the GEC course. We'll only do this on rare occasion. There are reasons. Talk to your DPS partner for why that might be the case. But I'm going to leave this at no for now. If you were to select yes, it would actually pull up another box for you to fill out. But let's go back to no. Okay. And then you're going to mark whether or not this was a transfer course from an accredited institution or a course taken at USM. Obviously, for something like this would be something like a transfer institution. You're going to be able to input the name of the transfer institution here. So let's just say it's the University Oklahoma, maybe, right? You can put in the transfer course prefix. Maybe they used English as ENGL, course number, whatever. You can put the course title as it appears on the DPR, all of that kind of information. You can mark whether or not the class was taken prior to enrollment at USM, so after they were enrolled at USM or prior to enrollment at USM. You can put in your explanation of your equivalency and your explanation for your rationale. You have 600 characters to use. You have a character counter here that'll tell you how many characters you have left. If you need more than 600 characters, as you get close, just say see attachment, for example, and you can upload attachments to this through the documents. So when you go into the documents, you can upload files. Please follow the file conventions that we have here. So you're always going to use the student ID number, underscore their full name, underscore, and then whatever else you need to put there. So for example, if it's the DPR, you'll write DPR. If it's some type of supporting documentation, you can write supporting doc. And you can add multiple files. I don't know. You probably shouldn't need to add more than 2 or 3, but you can add multiple files. And then, but you can do that by uploading files. You can also view anything that's attached. Obviously, there's nothing attached here. So I'm just going to cancel out of this. But when you're ready to upload, you would have clicked the other. You can print the student's DPR from here. So if you need a DPR to see all this information, of course you will. You can go here, you can click Print DPR, and it will print the DPR for you in PDF format. You can then save that to your computer so that you can upload it to the documents. It does not, let me repeat, it does not automatically save it to the work that you're doing here. So you've got to do that. You will then say whether you support it or not. And since you're the advisor and you're taking the time to actually do this for a student, we are assuming that you're going to support it. So it defaults to yes for the major advisor. Okay? And then you will put in comments, anything that you need to. Okay? So this new process does not alter anything that we've told you in the past about what you need to do to put forth a successful substitution form. Once you are done and you've got all of the required things filled out, you're going to submit for approval, and that will take it on to the next person in the workflow. So you're the advisor. It would then go to the director of your school. They would open up their work list, review it, and then they would either support or not support. They could put their comments in. They could upload additional documents if they needed to. If there was a reason why and they wanted to write a book about why they're not going to support it, they could certainly do that. And then they will submit it forward. So Ultimately, I would get it to make the final decision. But I'm going to just go ahead and cancel this. And I do want to cancel this and go to my home page, and I don't want to save any of my changes. So I'm just going to go back out to my home page, and I'm going to show you the next form really quickly is our non-GEC course substitution form. And the same kind of thing again, you will just come in and you'll enter that student ID number. Notice this one is just an ID number. If I can find my daughter's ID, there we go. And it's again going to pull in all of this information directly out of SOAR. So if you ever see any issues with any of this, that means that something needs to be fixed in the SOAR account for that student. And so you've got everything here that you need to explain in terms of a non-GEC. Now I don't get the non-GEC forms, so I don't get them. But you know, you're going to need to put in the required course prefix and number, the required course title. You're going to need to put in whether or not you're requesting to waive these non-GEC credits or not. If you were to mark yes, that would open up another set of text boxes for you. Whether or not this was a transfer course from a credit or a course taken at USM, same kind of thing. You'll put in your explanations for equivalency and your rationale, just as you always have in the past. Again, you have the documents. Make sure that you upload the DPR at the very minimum, but you may want to support upload, or you may need to. I shouldn't say want to. You may need to upload additional supporting information if they were bringing this course in, from outside, for example. You may need to put in evidence of the equivalency. Again, it's going to default to yes for you, but you can put any kind of comments that you need to here. You can print the DPR just as you had before. Looks exactly the same. Again, I'm going to cancel out of this. Take me back to my home page, and I'm going to go back in and show you now the second baccalaureate degree form. Same thing again. You're going to put in an IMPL ID number. And it's going to pull in the information that they currently have to come back for their information. You're going to put in their first degree. You're going to put in the first degree major, and you're going to put in the first degree institution. So, if they've got a bachelor's degree, you'll put in a BS. You'll put in whatever the major was. Let's say it was chemistry. And then their first degree institution, wherever they got that. It could be the University of Southern Mississippi, and they're coming back. So you can find all the institutions by selecting the magnifying glass icon and look and get the thing. Then what you're going to do, very important. Before I go on, I should have told you this first. Notice there is a link up here at the upper right to the second baccalaureate policy. This is a link to the bulletin. Remember, we now have a new second degree policy, which basically states, in a nutshell, that their first degree takes care of their GEC 01 through 06 categories. And then we expect them to complete GEC 07, 08, 09, and all of DEG at the University of Southern Mississippi for their second degree for that degree plan that they want to get that second degree in. So what you're going to do is you're going to come over here and you're going to add up the hours that are required in GEC 07, 08, 09, and all of the DEG categories, keeping in mind that there are some hours that can share. So for example, in chemistry, GEC 07 is our writing intensive is a chemistry course. So that's also in DEG. So you don't double count it, you just count it once. So you would add up all of the required hours, and I don't know, let's say it's just for kicks here, it's 60 hours, so you'd put that in, and then you would come down here and you would start to request course waivers. So maybe in the first chemistry degree, right, that they got, and now that they're trying to get a math degree, they took a lot of math. So let's go ahead and just let's waive some of that stuff. So we could come in and we can search for these various things. So we can search for math. So maybe they took math 167, right? 3 hours. We can put a comment here, taken during first degree, something like that. You can then add as many of these rows as you need to waive out as many courses as you need to, in line with our policy. And what you'll notice here is when you're done with this, this will total up the waivers from this box. It will take these required hours that you have up here and it will subtract the waivers, so that's 57. And then after you've done all this, you may put in additional hours of electives that the student has to take. Because remember, a student has to earn at least 25% of the degree at the University of Southern Mississippi, and it could very well be that you've waived out more hours than that based on what they did in their first degree. And so you may have to put in, hey, you're going to need to take an additional 6 hours of just general electives so that you can get to that 25%. And so maybe we're going to require them to take 6 additional hours, and then that will do what it needs to do. When we save it, it'll update the hours, or when we click on some other action, see, it goes through and does it. But when you hit submit, it'll all be. You can print the student's DPR, and then of course you can view attachments, or add attachments and view attachments here. So following the same sort of stuff. So you'll want to upload any kind of evidence that you need to do for that second baccalaureate degree that's in line with our policy. Once you have all of this filled out, you've worked with the student to develop this. The student has worked with you. They've written down their own things that on their own piece of paper that they need while they're with you. You're then going to submit the form, and that will move it along the line. So I'm going to cancel this. And I'm going to show you the last form that we have, which is the exception request form, which, as you all know, on the paper form, it was called the UGRD exception, UGRD. But we just labeled it here as exception form. Yeah, I can't remember her number. 45136. I still can't remember her number. There we go. We got it. And so you're only allowed to ask for one UGRD exception per form. So this, again, automatically pulls. Maybe this is a situation where we want to do a bulletin year extension, and when we do that, it's going to open up this. You're going to put in a rationale, and you're going to identify which semester through you want it to be valid for. Notice you can't put just anything in because we're limited to a full year in terms of bulletin extension. So maybe we want to extend it to that semester. Again, I can print a DPR, which I'll need to attach as a document. So you'll need to upload that DPR here, but you don't have to leave to do it. You can just print the DPR directly there. And then you can also put any other supporting information that you need to put up there in this. And then if you're, a director or a dean, associate dean, or myself, I can go through and view these attachments. Okay, so you can view or upload files as you need to. So let's say this student, you needed to do a bulletin year extension, and you also wanted to do less than 124 hours to degree. Okay, and so you thought, well, maybe I'll just do them both on the same form. Notice it won't let you do that. You would have to complete the bulletin extension, submit that, then go back in and do a separate one on the other thing that you're requesting the UGRD exception to be done. So those are the 4 new forms that we now have in SOAR. We're excited to have these and to get this underway. Again, you'll get some more specific written instructions from the degree progress specialists that will show you how to navigate to this in the actual SOAR production system that we have. What I'm showing right now is in test, but it'll look identical. The forms will look identical. And then if you run into any problems, please reach out to your degree progress specialist partner, your DPS partner as we call them, and they can help walk you through it. Or if there actually is an issue with the system, we can get in touch with iTech or whoever we need to get in touch with to fix the problem. This has been thoroughly tested. We tested it routinely for about 2 weeks within our office, and then we've tested it for the past week with actual associate deans and actual directors. So there were, I don't know, I think 7 or 8 directors that were involved, and pretty much so all of the associate deans and the colleges who would have access to this type of workflow have been testing. So this has been vetted. It is not anything new other than the way in which we're pushing it through, okay? So the paper forms and all the instructions that you had, all the expectations for evidence, all of the things that your associate dean has told you that they want to see on the forms still stands. So just keep that in mind. You still have to provide evidence, you still have to provide rationales, and you still have to provide equivalencies where appropriate. So none of that has changed in this process. It's just now that we're able to take and do this without having to push paper around. So hopefully this will allow us to get a better handle on where all of this stuff is and serve our students better. So I want y'all to have a great holiday weekend and stay safe, everybody. Please wear your masks and use your hand sanitizer as appropriate. And let's try to keep this COVID stuff at bay as best we can. So have a good holiday, and I will see you all later.